Right. Hey, what's up you guys, people of the internet, everyone who clicked on this very video. My name is Cass, and today I'm gonna do a book review. I'm gonna be reviewing this book, Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. I finished this book, I think 2 weeks ago, and I've now decided to review. Why? I don't know. Probably because finals just ended and I don't know what to do with my life anymore. This is gonna have like a general review part that is spoilery. It's all gonna be spoilery. And then after that there's gonna be a few random thoughts I had that don't really make sense, but I wanna put them out in the world. So if you want, stick around for that. If not, just watch the review. Yeah, let's go. I think for general review, first of all, star rating, I would give it either a 4 or 5 stars. When I first finished it, my thought was like, yes, 5 stars. I really enjoyed everything that happened in here. But then as I let it sit for a while, and I thought about it, it did have a fair amount of problems, to be honest, and that's fine. I don't know if there's enough problems to deduct a star fully, alright? I'll go into the problems a little bit later, but I haven't quite decided, because enjoyment-wise, this was a 5 stars. Quality-wise, maybe not quite, but I don't know which one's more important. So I'm just gonna say somewhere between a 4 and 5 stars. What I really liked about this book is definitely the characters. I love the characters and their banter and their interactions, and the dynamic is really what made this book for me. I love all of them. Like, I think Mark and Ty are my favorites, but all of them are really great. And some of them grew more on me in this book. Like Kieran, I already liked Kieran, but like in this book I love Kieran. And Jago and Drusilla too, because she didn't really have a big part to play in the first 2 books, but in this one she was really great. Julian, I love Julian. I know a lot of people say that Julian's stupid and Julian's boring, and I disagree, because Julian is a Slytherin hero that we deserve, and you won't take him from me. What I do find annoying about Julian, segue into the romance section and the dynamics of characters, is his romance with Emma. It's annoying. That's fine. Like, that seems to be a thing with Cassandra Clare. They have annoying romances. And like, that makes me dislike the main characters. Like in The Mortal Instruments, like Clary and Jace are my least favorite characters, because they're annoying when they're together. I mean, Clary's always annoying, but Jace is annoying when he's with Clary, which is most of the time. And the same is true for Julian and Emma. I love them as characters, but their interactions are often quite annoying, because they're also whiny about each other, right? Which makes me like them less. But in this book, it was less annoying to me than in the other 2 books. Maybe partially because I'm getting used to it, and I knew what was coming, and I knew not to have high hopes. But they felt a little bit less whiny about it in this book, which is good. Speaking of the dynamics between characters and romance, I really liked how they put Kieran and Mark and Christina together, and I thought that really worked as a romance. Because in Lord of Shadows, they were kind of whiny too, right? They were all kind of having some gay drama over there, that's fine. In this one there was still drama between them, but it wasn't super annoying. And I'm glad, and I really like how they worked out together. It's really cute. I love Kit and Ty's dynamic together, and I love their friendship. And in this book, like, Kit has such an obvious crush on Ty. I don't like how they ended it, where Kit randomly said I love you when Ty was doing something stupid and possibly getting himself killed. Ty didn't stop doing the stupid thing, because Livy is obviously going to be more important to him than anyone else. And then Kit took that as a rejection and just left, and they never interacted again. Like, that's stupid. And I'm pretty sure they're going to be in another Cassandra Clare series, right? But still, I didn't find that a satisfying ending. That I say that as someone who wanted them to be together, but still I think it could have been better if they'd just been friends. But now I'm thinking about it, right? Like, how could this have had a satisfactory ending? They couldn't. I mean, it's obvious in this book that Kit has a crush on Ty, right? So they couldn't just stay friends. I still think it would have done better with Kit just pining and not saying anything, and Ty being too busy with Livy probably, because we don't have a Ty POV at all in this book, so I don't really know how he feels about Kit, right? But I feel like it would have worked better with Kit just fine, because this didn't quite work for me. Maybe it will be better in the next book, but I don't know. And the same goes for like their whole story arc, because they're bringing Livy back from the dead, right? And it's a whole thing, and throughout the whole book it's like, ooh, the stakes are so big, yeah, something's gonna go horribly wrong, and like, it's gonna be horrible, or she comes back and it's gonna be weird, or something goes wrong, or, you know, it was like almost certain something would go horribly wrong, and then it didn't, but also didn't go quite right. She's just a ghost now, and just Ty and Kit can see her, but like, where's the sense in that? Like, that feels like it felt like there was such high stakes and then nothing happened. So like the whole storyline was just unimportant throughout the whole thing. Like, it's stupid. I mean, I guess it made sense as a way for Ty to deal with his grief. Because if he hadn't clung on to like, we're gonna bring her back and I'm not gonna think about that she's dead. Like, I don't know how that would have shaped his presence in the rest of the book, I guess. And speaking of grief, that's something I really like. They show how everyone grieves differently. Drew just takes her anger out on Helen, and Mark feels like he's already grieved Livia when he was in the hunt, so he feels kind of weird about it to grieve her again. And Julian just like gets rid of his emotions and feels bad before he does that, feels bad for also feeling good things like his love for Emma. And it's so interesting and a good thing to see how that grief is also different from each other. So I thought that was really well done. I do have a few problems, but like I said, they're not really big. I already touched upon some of them, like the Kit and Ty story arc didn't quite work. It didn't really do anything in the end. Julian and Emma's romance is still annoying, but it's kind of whatever. I don't care that much about it. Also, plot-wise, I would say some things didn't quite make sense. It felt like a lot of things kind of came out of nowhere. Like, they go to Phil, I think the world is called, like the other world. But what was really the use of even going there? Other than getting the mortal sword and finding out how to... But that's not even why they went there. Like, why did they go there? It made no sense. And they just got the mortal sword, which was good, and they knew how to stop the blight. But I feel like they could have worked that in differently. Like, they spent such a big part of the book just in that world. And I don't know, it felt like they didn't really do anything. That they went on a few missions, but I don't remember what they did. They killed Sebastian? That's weird. Like, it doesn't really make sense. And maybe it will make sense in other books, because in the epilogue, Otherworld Jace and I guess this world Ash came back to our world. Still, I feel like, if not for the epilogue, and if it's not a big part in the next series, which I guess it will be, but we don't know about that yet, it doesn't make that much sense. I just felt that there were more things like that that didn't quite, like, they kind of fell out of nowhere, like the Nephilim thing. It's kind of weird. I guess it made sense if you think about it when it occurs, but it was really weird, because it wasn't a big plot point. It didn't feel like, it was just like, it felt like at the end it was like, fuck, we can't break the thing with the mortal sword, how are we gonna fix this? Oh, they'll just turn into giants and like kill a bunch of people, and then like people will bring them back and they'll be fine, right? Why is that? That's weird. There were more things. Something that I did like, just to kind of wrap this part of the video up, is the representation. I think that this book also did that really well, with quite some characters of colour. Not the main cast is pretty white still, with following the Blackthorn family, and like Christina is a woman of colour and a badass, and I love her with my whole heart. And Jago has a POV in this. Magnus is a person of colour, of course. Yeah, but I think what this book really, like, they already have quite some sexualities, diversity there, like Mark and Helen and Eileen, Magnus obviously, and Alec, Kieran, Kit. We have quite a lot of queer characters. Oh, Diana's transgender. Like, that's really good. That's a new one. Which is, you know, there's the Shadowhunter world as a world is pretty conservative. Like, the Clave sucks at diversity. But we're bringing that in there, and I do like that. Also, some mental health with Ty being autistic. Diana and Ty as new characters are being trans and autistic is really good. Could be better with more people of color, but I'd say for such a big series, it's pretty good. Alright, so that's kind of my review. I thought it was good, had some problems, but also the characters are great, and I like this world, and I enjoyed it a lot. So 4 or 5 out of 5 stars. Now for my random thoughts. This is so stupid. It's kind of, after this book, I feel like this is about politics. If you don't care about politics. So stupid. After this book, we go through 2 radical government changes. One in Shadowhunter world, one in Unseelie. And I don't know if those governments will work. Because the Clave goes from fascist, far right, if you say the mundane thingies. I don't know if they're more populist than really far right, but very conservative, but yet radical. They're kind of weird. I mean, they're obviously kind of linked to like the Nazi party, I guess. That's what it's based on. To Alec and Jago as, well, Jago's not canon yet, but Alec and Jago as Consul and Inquisitor, which is like a far left, if you'd say that. With like, Alec is already, like, you see that in like Anna's wedding, he's already putting through drastic law changes of like ending the Cold Peace and letting Shadowhunters marry Downworlders and things like that. Like, those are some radical changes if you think about how anti-Downworlder sentiment still is quite present in the Shadowhunter community. Like, it's obviously good law changes, but I don't know what I will say for his role, I guess, as consul, because like you can already see that people are against him, and he's gonna have a lot more opposition as he goes on, probably. But then again, most of the Shadowhunters that already really hated him went to Alicante, stayed in Alicante, and I guess he can pull off some of these reforms as like rebuilding, because they're really doing that. So I guess he can get away with some of it. Someone who I don't think can get away with this is Kieran, my beautiful, beautiful boy, King of Unseelie. Like, already, like, a lot of people didn't like the previous king and 2 kings. Man, we don't really, do we call him, what's his face? But the king, Unseelie king, had ruled for like a long ass time. So it's probably going to be difficult. And already Kieran too, after being on the throne for like 3 weeks or something, is putting through some pretty drastic changes. And like what they mentioned like very briefly at the end is that he already put through a redistribution of land, which is bound to piss people off, you know? Like, I know they said that the people were happy with it, but if you look at it in history, right? When have people done redistribution of land? Like the communists, I guess, which didn't work out well. And then if you look at Greek history, the Gracchi did it. They were both murdered. And I guess the people would like it, but that's bound to be people that are messed up, that are like annoyed about it. We don't see aristocracy in Unseelie court as present as in the Seelie court, but there's bound to be an aristocracy because there's bound to be big landowners, because otherwise a redistribution of land wouldn't be necessary. So you're bound to piss those people off. And then, like, Kieran already has quite some potential enemies in, like, 46 brothers that would possibly want to have claim to the throne. Like, Eric and, what did I just say his name was? Oben are dead, and Aegon, or Aedeon, whatever, wouldn't, and then him. But that's still 46 people that claim to the throne. 47 if you count Kit, which I'm not, but 46 is a lot of people. And I don't know if they had a lot of power in Sealywood. I guess they said Oben did, right? So probably, and Aedeon owns land too, so I guess his brothers would be big landowners. And, like, he would piss them off. Like, what will stop someone from just killing him and taking the throne over? Of those 46 people. 47 if you count Kit, which I'm not. Even more if you count Sealy, because the Sealy Queen is not just gonna let Kieran do his thing. Like, right now she is, but if she turns against him, he's gonna die. And I love Kieran, I want him to have a long and fruitful reign over the Unseelie lands, but I'm scared for him, especially because, like, he's obviously dallying with the Shadowhunters. I don't know how many people. I guess they really must hate Shadowhunters, at least some of them. There has to be some anti-Shadowhunters sentiment in Unseelie, like, that's gotta be, right? Yeah, so I'm afraid for Kieran. Second piece of thoughts I had had to do with the names of the Blackthorns. Julian is named after Julius Caesar, right? This boy did a military coup against the government, the cohort. He devised it. Like Julius Caesar marched on Rome with his army. That's a power move. And then I started thinking, like, they're all named after Greek and Roman important people. Do their story arcs have anything to do with the people they're named after? So I was thinking, like, Helen of Troy. She kind of was stolen away. Not really stolen. Well, she was sealed away at Wrangel Island for quite a while. Like Helen of Troy was kidnapped to Troy. And then Mark Antony, who famously left Rome and fell in love with Cleopatra, the pharaoh of Egypt. Would that, perchance, have anything to do with Mark leaving the Shadowhunter world to Fairy and falling in love with Mr. Kieran Hunter? They have Ty and Livy, which is difficult because I don't really know anything about Livia. She was someone's wife. Was she Julius Caesar's wife? I don't really remember. I should have looked into this before I made this part of the video, but preparation. And Tiberius Nero. I know that Tiberius was a bad guy, and so was Nero. I know more about Nero than I know about Tiberius. But I don't think either of those things really fit with Ty as a person. They were both a bit obsessive, if that makes sense. Distrusting. But Ty is Ty distrusting? Not really, right? I mean, a little bit. He's secretive, more than distrusting, I would call him. And Drusilla was also someone's wife, and I don't really know. And Octavian, I guess the only relation I can think of is like how Julius Caesar was a parental figure for Octavian Augustus, and Julian really is a parental figure for Tavi. So maybe that correlation kind of makes sense in the historical kind of things. I don't know if you know anything about Drusilla, Livia, and maybe something about Tiberius that I don't know. And you see a correlation with a character from this book. Let me know in the comments. Yeah. That were my thoughts. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you again at some point. Maybe not in this setup, because I just wanted to sit down and I wanted to show these bookshelves, which are prettier than these bookshelves. Doesn't really matter. Goodbye.